Rocky Top Insider instant reaction to Tennessee baseball's 11-6 win over Evansville here in the Knoxville Super Regional opener on Friday afternoon. Ryan, it was, definitely an eventful game for Tennessee. Used 4 total pitchers. Aaron Combs having to come in a little bit of a stressful spot there in the ninth. Not quite the tying run at the plate, but bases loaded with a 5-run lead. Aaron Combs comes and strikes out the side to end it. But the story of the day is, of course, Tennessee's offense.
Yeah, no doubt. 3 innings where they scored 3 runs, 4 home runs, and even in a game where it felt like maybe more constant pressure, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Even though Tennessee didn't leave a lot of guys on base, but I guess a couple innings late in the game where they didn't do a whole lot. But besides that, it felt like, especially on Deverman, Evansville starter, it felt like the pressure was pretty consistent. And I think one of the big things, takeaways that come up from this game, I came away pretty impressed with Evansville. I didn't think they pitched it that bad. Their lineup was good, and Tennessee still won by 5 runs. So Tennessee takes care of business in Game 1, which is, as we talked about on the pod this week, always felt like the more worrisome game for Tennessee. So certainly a good start to the weekend.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Evansville throwing their ace kit in Deverman today, as you mentioned. Only 4 2/3 for Deverman, got up to about 89 pitches. I thought didn't pitch bad. Certainly ran into some trouble. Did end up giving up 7 runs on the day, but wasn't awful or anything like that. But their reliever, who's also their best reliever on the season, Shane Harris, comes in, looks really good against Tennessee till Hunter Ensley makes him pay on a pitch later on. But really, I think a big part is that Evansville's arguably their 2 best pitchers through today and are probably spent for the weekend. That's got to play in Tennessee's favor.
Yeah, it does. And, not only just that Harris threw, that he threw as well as he did. I mean, he was cruising there. I think he'd retired 6 straight guys. He'd struck out Christian Moore and Blake Burke back-to-back. Now, granted, questionable strike 3 call on Christian Moore looking, but and it felt like, all right, this Harris is going to give. When Harris came in, it was like, all right, Evansville's throwing all their punches in this game, probably as they should. And it was like, all right, he's going to give them a chance if their offense can get something going. And then boom, Billy Amick 2-out hit or 2-out double, or Dylan Dreiling works a walk.
Good walk.
Hunter Ensley almost felt really similar to his first at-bat against Harris, which was Harris's first at-bat in the game. Falls behind 1-2, fouls off a 2-strike pitch, ball 2, and then a 3-run home run that kind of gave Tennessee the separation and, all but put it away.
It felt like that was a moment Hunter Ensley was going to come through. And, second time seeing the guy. And, we've talked about how Hunter Ensley is kind of like Dylan Dreiling, where he comes through in those clutch moments. And, they weren't down or anything like that. They had a 3-run lead. But to really blow it open like that was so huge for Tennessee. Yeah,
it was. I mean, the way Evansville's lineup was and was so consistently competitive in this game, a 3-run lead, while it certainly wasn't nothing, it didn't feel massive by anything. It didn't feel like the game was over with a 3-run lead. And, heck, in the 9th inning, Evansville scores a run and loads the bases still. So a 3-run lead would have felt really, really dicey. And now Tennessee probably would have been a little more proactive going to Aaron Combs or Nate Snead in the bullpen if that was the case. But, that felt like the moment of the game where it was like, Tennessee's definitively going to win this one. It's not over, but it basically feels over. So just another really good game for Hunter Ensley. I mean, I think you'll talk about 3-run home runs, obviously grabs the attention. He had a 2-out RBI single off Harris he had bat before. And I'll even say, I guess he's his second time up he got on base. Really good slide, tagging up from third to home on what was an incredible throw by the Evansville center fielder.
Ty Rumsey before he got hurt, right?
Ty Rumsey, yes, that's right. I mean, that was as good as a throw you're going to see a college center fielder make right on the line, and Ensley was able to kind of really good slide to get around it. So once again, a day where Hunter Ensley, as he basically always does the little things really well. And then obviously the big things have been clicking pretty darn well for him too the last month.
No doubt about it. A lot of production coming from the top 5 in Tennessee's lineup today. Simo had a solid day, a couple of RBIs and 1 hit on the day. Also worked a walk, but Blake Burke and Billy Amick, 5 hits total out of them 2. Just, and then we talked about Hunter Ensley. Dylan Dreiling, maybe not the best day, but really Burke and Billy just seeing the ball really well today.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I felt like both those guys worked consistently competitive at bats, got on base a lot. Obviously, the home runs. I mean, the Billy Amick homer was just launched.
Yeah, I've seen some. I know Cags hit like a 480-foot bomb last year. The Boston College guy had 477, I believe. And the distance on Billy's homer is maybe a little bit, misleading because it hit the pole. I don't know if that affects it.
I don't think that affects it the way that the stat.
Because it looked like it was going to sail clear over all the porches. And 428 feels a little low for that.
Well, I think what the thing is, it's going to separate some of those other home runs. Christian Franklin hit one in 21 that also is at the top of the list for me, as well as the Drew Gilbert walk-off in 21 against Wright State. Billy hit that one way further down the line, so
Gotcha.
it got out a lot quicker. The Cags won, the Christian Franklin won, the
They were
Boston
more to
College guy, they were
center.
like deep
Yeah.
left center, so it had a little bit more room to carry. But yeah, I mean, that was absolutely mashed, a no doubter. And it's the Sunday game against Southern Miss. The top of the order wasn't great. They just bounced back with an incredible performance, and it feels like in any given day, maybe a third of Tennessee's lineup isn't going to be great. I didn't really feel like the back end was great today.
6 through 9, no hits.
Yeah, but it feels like for extended amounts of times, none of those thirds are really going to be black holes by any means, and the rest of the lineup is good enough to pick everybody up in a game like that and still score 11 runs.
The pitching side of things, of course, it was the Stamos-Causey stack. Stamos comes out brilliant first inning, striking out the side right off the bat. It's like, okay, here we go. Chris Stamos looks like he's going to dominate Evansville, going 1, 2, 3 like that, but runs into trouble in the second, ends up giving up 2 runs, wall scraper from Cal McGinnis.
Yep.
And, so that kind of gave Evansville the lead there in the second inning. Causey comes in, does his thing for the most part, maybe not the crispest, most crisp A.J. Causey outing you'll see, and all 3 runs he gave up were unearned because of a Christian Moore error, but, Causey still was able to pitch pretty well today.
Yeah, it felt like he was working around not being at his best. The command wasn't very good. Walks a couple guys, hits 2 more guys. A lot of 3. I mean, I think it set the tone as first at batter. I think he fell behind 3-0. Right. So it was just he threw a lot of pitches, essentially, and it was a lot of stressful at-bats. Even, I guess, after all the unearned runs were in the 5th inning for Evansville, and he didn't pitch great in that inning, but obviously probably gets out of it if it weren't for the Christian Moore fielding error. The next inning, he doesn't allow a run, but it was, again, very stressful. It walks a guy, hits a guy, the runners move over second and third with 2 outs. It's like, all right, 1 hit. Even though Tennessee had just scored 3 runs again, it's a 1-run game. So he wasn't at his best, but continued to work through it, was solid. And yeah, Stamos, I'm sure everybody's going to jump on him because it's 2 straight outings where he wasn't great, and he certainly wasn't at his best today. But to me, he felt a lot better than he was last week. Yeah. Even on top of the first inning, that home run was a bit of a Lindsey Nelson's staple. It barely got out. And in a lot of parts of the wind was dead at that point. A lot of the day, the wind was blowing in from right field, and if it was blowing in, that wouldn't have gotten out. So, not as ideal for Stamos as you would like, but I certainly didn't think it was as bad as some of his outings that haven't been up to the standard this year.
Just a couple late game storylines before we get on out of here. Christian Moore didn't play second base in the 8th or 9th inning. Ariel Antigua comes in, a little bit of a different look with Antigua taking over at second instead of maybe short for Dean. Tony Vitello said post game that Christian Moore's dealing with a little bit of a leg soreness at the point in the game. I'm sure most players are sore. It's late in the season, long game. Vitello said Moore's going to be fine for tomorrow, so no worries there. But also just how the pitching shook out in the end. As I mentioned at the top of this thing, Combs comes in the 9th instead of Nate Snead. Kind of had to use either Snead or Combs in that spot with Kirby running into some trouble. But tomorrow, Tennessee's still going to have Drew Beam ready to roll, Nate Snead ready to roll, and Xander, if they need to, get an inning too, they got a full clip tomorrow.
Yeah, and Combs threw 20 pitches, so he could probably even come in and throw some tomorrow if I had to guess. Definitely would be able to by Sunday if it gets that far. So you're right, and I'm sure it'd be most ideal for Tennessee if Kirby could have gotten all 3 outs in the 9th inning and you have Combs and Snead available, but it wasn't the end of the world, and we talked about it at the Open, but Evansville burned probably their 2 best pitchers today, and Tennessee is still going to have a lot more pitching compared to Evansville. So, I would think you'll see Beam tomorrow. Obviously, we'll see Beam tomorrow. He's the announced starting pitcher, and then maybe a Binky for an inning, hand off to Snead. It feels like that'll be the pitching plan, and if things get accelerated, and there'll be a couple other guys that'll be able to throw as well.
No doubt about it. I think the story from today is Evansville kind of threw their best punch, were able to have life offensively through the best 2 pitchers, yet Tennessee was still able to win by 5 runs, and they go into tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. One win away. It's just hard not to feel really good about where Tennessee is at. The offense is seemingly humming on all cylinders, and just like you said, it felt like this was the game Evansville had to win. If they were going to win this weekend, obviously they have to win 2 of them, but they had to get this one just from what they had from a pitching standpoint. And for Tennessee to, even on a day Deverman wasn't bad, wear him out, running from the game after 4 2/3, score a bunch of runs on him. It felt like Tennessee answered the bell and won on a day where their pitching wasn't at its best.
On the 7-year anniversary of Tony Vitello getting hired as Tennessee baseball head coach, Tennessee beats Evansville 11-6 in Game 1 of the Knoxville Super Regional, now 1 win away from Omaha for the 3rd time in 4 years. For Ryan, I'm Jack. See you next time.